Hello and welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. Welcome to part 2 of our 2024 wrap-up. This time we're focusing more on the Joinery Coach as a business, going over what each quarter of the year looked like at the Joinery Coach, as well as what we think the greatest insights we had to offer to clients were, what were some things we learned throughout the year, and what were some of our favorite things to pass on to clients. The Joinery Coach has had a really fantastic year this year, much like the podcast. We've had a great influx of incredible clients. We were invited to the Master Joiners Conference, and the JBI in November just went fantastically. So we're very proud of this year, and we're very, very excited to have an even better year next year. If you have any questions about today's episode, be sure to jump on over to the Joinery Business Hub on Facebook. Now, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
So we've said that the Joinery Business Podcast is run by the Joinery Coach, in case you guys don't already know, all you lovely listeners out there. Bruce, what would you say are some of the highlights over at the Joinery Coach for Q1?
So the beginning of the year, we talked about planning.
Yes.
And I think what we do every year is we kind of map out the year. And I think what we identified, even towards the end of last year, we identified that every year has this sort of a cadence and a rhythm mostly. And most people start out the year, they've got all these great ideas, these great aspirations, and they want to plan it out. But we don't have a way of planning it and seeing it extend forward, then it just doesn't happen. It kind of fizzles out halfway through the year. So for me, the beginning of the year was really about planning and resetting, because you can start the year like you ended the year if you're not careful.
Yes.
And if you ended the year in chaos and anarchy and craziness, you're going to start the year that way. So we do a kickstart at the beginning of the year in January to kickstart a great start to the year.
Yes.
And it's called Kickstart. It is a 90-day reset because we plan out January, February, and March. Mm-hmm. But I think the beginning of this year, that was exceptionally well done. So for me, that's the highlight of the first quarter.
What about for you, Nigel? What would be the highlight of the beginning of the year?
For me, it was actually in internal stuff. So, having Aaron join the team and really getting him, kind of set up for success for Q2, Q3, Q4. There's a lot of learning curve he had to come down. But also the highlight of the year, beginning of the year, was getting to go and see some sites. So we had a lot of a kind of more routine around visiting certain sites, for delivering some of the training that we were offering at the beginning of the year, but also just to get Aaron embedded into that activity when we go to site, doing a project with the team, kind of recapping at the end, debriefing, and then we had some really good milk runs. It was a lot of fun. Very tiring at times, but it was a lot of fun to get around and see people and introduce him to everybody. So that was my highlight for the Q1.
It is true, isn't it? Because now, the beginning of this year was sort of the lingering effects of COVID are kind of gone. Now we get back to the normal life that we would normally have, where we can work online, but we can also physically get on a plane and go somewhere without any real restrictions.
Yeah.
And that, you're right. I think that kind of kicked in at the beginning of this year. It's now, we don't feel those restrictions anymore.
Yeah. And I know that it was very well received. Most people's like, we'd like you back. We'd like to do more of that. We can see sometimes, they get too busy with the day to day, and they kind of forget to do that half-hour meeting each week, do the 5S, get the communication board up or get it running. So to be able to go there and demonstrate stuff, as opposed to kind of talk about stuff, I would say, lean is showing people things, and then having them practice it. If you're talking through something, it can be effective, but it's always better to reinforce it with actually showing someone how to do this. So that was the highlight for me, definitely, the getting around, seeing clients, introducing Aaron, getting some projects done, connecting with the team at the shop floor level.
How about you, Tiff? What was your highlight at the beginning of the year?
Well, this was the first year that I joined the coaching team. And I started working one-on-one, but also delivering the group coaching every Tuesday around brand, marketing, team, and time flow, mostly on brand and marketing. And for me, was just connecting up with clients that really wanted that help and sought out that help for marketing and brand strategy. I've got a handful of clients that just worked consistently throughout the year, one-on-one with me, who have their results are just incredible.
Yeah.
They came to the beginning of the year with the kickstart, planned out what they wanted for the year, said this is what the revenue I want, this is how many leads I want, and this is what I'm willing to do to get that, and have followed through. But not just followed through on the plan, but followed through consistently with the coaching sessions, because we know that that is what makes it, all worth it, is actually showing up for your business, getting those results, and taking on the feedback that the coaches are going to give you and the guidance that the coaches are going to give you.
I remember some of the conversations too at the beginning of the year with some of the clients you worked with, which was, at a certain date, we're going to fall off a cliff because we don't have any work.
Yeah.
And we're just so worried about March or April when we're looking forward and we're going, there's no work. What are we going to do? We're going to fall off a cliff. And that was, I found it really interesting because different members used those same words. Some of them were in different parts of the world.
Yes.
Completely different parts of the world, but they would still say, we're so worried that in March or April, we're going to fall off the edge of the cliff because our work is going to dry up. Okay. Now, here we are talking about this in December at the end of the year. Didn't fall off the cliff.
No.
No cliff actually appeared. In fact, you climbed the mountain. And that's what's really cool about the work that you did with people, I think, from an observational point of view, is that those same people now are going, great, forget about thinking about a cliff in 2025. Let's talk about what next mountain we're going to scale is going to be. It's really a different conversation, right? Climbing a mountain is a different feeling than falling off a cliff. But, those are the words.
Some of our clients, creating enough enough revenue to even just purchase a CNC and implement a CNC and now take on more work and expand their capacity.
Or paying themselves for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine that. I can actually get paid.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. I can actually have a wage and have my name beside a true wage payment.
Bringing on new team members.
Yeah.
Some of our smaller clients that at the beginning of the year started with either just themselves, an apprentice, and now taking on the third or fourth team member and doing so comfortably.
Yep.
And just by showing up and doing the work and implementing the strategies and not letting it just fall by the wayside and saying, I'll get to that marketing stuff when I need to. It's like, no, that's actually an integral part of your business. You need to consistently show up.
Yeah.
There was a podcast that I did recently. It's called Marketing's Not a Magic Pill, It's a Healthcare Plan.
It's my favorite title because it's so true. Yeah.
And it is exactly that. It's so true. You need to consistently show up. And I think that a lot of our clients, one of my favorite things about working with them is that they do that. They consistently show up.
Yeah.
And the ones who don't, you can see it.
Health deteriorates.
Health deteriorates, exactly.
I think if I take on board what you've just both talked about, so the importance of planning at the beginning of the year, was so important, and then staying on the activities absolutely gives you the results. Now, there's always a level of variation that comes through the year, but as opposed to not staying on the plan and having to be reminded, remember, reset, put it back in.
Yeah.
Be fair to say that be honest to say that the clients that really struggle with the planning loop, they're often still got the same items in Q3 that they had in Q1.
Q1, yeah.
And the ones that stay on the plan, as you say, it's no longer a flat line. It's a hill climb.
Yeah.
With where's the next summit we're going for? It's a very different conversation because they built the confidence to realise that planning's never going to be perfect, but it's better than not having a plan, right? Always better than not having a plan, and it will always get us further in the direction we want to go that we're actually thinking about. As opposed to just working really hard and getting some results, and you might have a good financial result, but you might have, hurt the team in the process, right? Because you didn't have this holistic plan about how do I make sure when I grow the business, I've got the right things in place to keep everything stable. So I get the gains and I lock them in, as opposed to having a good few months, but then backsliding, falling off the cliff again and picking up again. So I think, there are some really good clients this year that because we talked about the plan, we actually helped them document it and follow it throughout the year. They are probably beyond the results they were expecting.
Well, certainly that's what we're seeing. Yeah, it's way better than, we've got one client in particular that said, I'd like to have 2 employees this year. And now he's talking about his 4th employee. Yeah. That's way ahead of where he thought he'd be, which is really cool. So if we talk about, as the year progressed, moving into the middle of the year, we had a really steady influx of clients. Like at the Joinery Coach, we have more clients than we've ever had in the history of the business, which is really cool. And of course, we'd like to have 100 more. Now, I don't say that from a financial, like it's not because we want more money. I mean, everybody wants more money, right? It's an ever-present thought. It never goes away.
Part of being in business, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I look at the people that we've helped. I look at the people that have significantly been changed. Their lives have been changed because of the work we're doing with them. You know, and a lot of them are public, like, you know, Leroy Redding from Redding
Yes.
Furniture and the Miller Brothers. And, you know, some of, I don't want to mention really anyone because I'm going to miss someone. There's so many people that we're working with. I want to help more people like that. That's the reason why we want to have more clients. So to see a steady influx of clients come in and us able to consistently help them get those results is really an amazing thing to watch. So we were able to sort of triple, I wouldn't say triple, we were able to double our workload this year in the business, but keep the quality of what we're doing up as high as we need it to be or higher because we're still, you know, helping these people get results. So that's for me, that's quarter 2 and quarter 3. That was the significant sort of shift in the business this year. Part of that was bringing in new coaches as well that helped add more value. Anything else in the middle of the year that you can think of that stands out? I mean, I know we talked about the master joiners.
I think that's a significant thing. Let's talk about that
Yeah.
because that's like one of the first times you've had it become a guest speaker. Both you and Nigel traveled to New Zealand, it's a whole other country, to become an industry guest speaker. Talk to us about that. What was that experience like?
Well, first of all, to be invited to an event like that is humbling.
Yeah.
Because that means, you know, this is a professional organization. They know what they're doing and they don't invite, you know, poor quality people to their events. Or at least you hope they don't. So, you know, so just to be invited was pretty cool. And to go to another country and work with an industry, it was really, really cool. What I learned from that is whether you're in New Zealand, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in Canada, the UK, it's all the same problems.
Yeah.
We're having exactly the same conversations in New Zealand that we're having with anybody in any part of the world. I mean, we've got a client in Texas, same conversations. So it tells us that what we do resonates internationally. It's not just, we do have a lot of clients here in Australia, but we're not restricted by what we do just because we're here in Australia. So that's the one thing that kind of hit home with me, that they're having all the same struggles that everybody else in this industry is having.
And you know, you and I have talked about this, is, you know, the power of being able to connect with organisations like that is huge, because they're already in a collective where they're saying, hey, we're interested to really nurture our industry and we care about the changes and we want to, you know, share information so people can learn and get that benefit as a community. You know, we're all about community. So surely the best thing is to connect communities, right?
Yeah.
And get that kind of turbocharge effect of knowledge sharing at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
And again, who knows what those relationships lead into? That's what I always think is like, this is like something new. It's like planting a seed almost.
Yeah.
And who knows how big that field of flowers or whatever that thing is that's going to end up is going to be. It's kind of really exciting.
Yeah.
These journeys. And then think of all the other organisations around the world have potentially the same issue. They're just looking to connect with like-minded people.
Yeah.
So I think it's the start of something really good.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the trip. Was amazing. Just to go and see other countries is always fun for me.
Yeah.
But also, again, like you said, to connect to, I had no idea what they were going to be like, what the problems were going to be, but we had a really good shop tour. We went to see kind of the equivalent of a TAFE organisation there.
Yeah.
So a big focus on the apprenticeship. I just liked the way I never got the feeling they were there to talk about money or how to make more money in the business. It was all about how do we help each other, what are the changes happening in the industry, even down to they were talking about health and safety, which I love that, dust and all the a lady gave a very good discussion or topic around how to make sure your people are not getting exposed to things that they shouldn't be getting exposed
Toxic,
to.
yeah.
So I love that. I love that it was very holistic, right, and very focused on the industry and the nurture for that industry. So yeah, great.
Yeah, it kind of kickstarted. I think you're right, Tiff. It was great as a kickstart for us to do that. We did our first Lego simulation, or your first iteration of the Lego joinery manufacturing simulation.
Yeah.
And can I just say, as someone who does not have any idea about like manufacturing, I'm very good at marketing and marketing the joinery side of things, but that for me was a game changer. So I know that you guys did it at the Master Joiners, but we also then did it at the JBI, which is short for Joinery Business Intensive for all of the podcast listeners out there. I know we keep using our internal language. But as someone who was a watcher and just observing the interaction from our clients and them having these light bulb moments going, oh yeah, we've got this, it's faster. And then it became like a competition between groups. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. Like, I think that that's going to be something that will be a really impactful exercise to do, not just for our clients, but for other industry events and other joiners outside of our internal community. That is going to be great. So yeah, props to you guys for doing that. It was amazing.
Well, what's really cool is when I talked to the master joiners after the event, they told us straight up the feedback that they got, the number one bit of feedback they got from all of their members that attended, they wanted more Lego.
Mm-hmm. They didn't mean Christmas presents.
They didn't mean they wanted to play with Lego. What they meant was that way of interacting, that way of giving knowledge of doing something, actually physically doing it, not standing up in front of a crowd and talking at them. That's obviously from a place of wanting to help, but it doesn't generally work all that well because you get bored pretty quickly listening. But we had them doing stuff, and that doing stuff means that you just did it. You can then take that and do it in your business tomorrow. So that had a real impact. And so the cool thing is we were able to do that at Master Joiners, but then we had our own intensive event in November.
Competitions set in really quickly among the groups. That was very, very amusing to watch and see.
And the way that the Lego exercise was just a little bit different, but much more succinct. And I think for me, observing that, everybody was it was like this big drum roll. What's the third simulation going to be? And it went exactly like you said. It was like, well, this is going to be quick, easy, no problems. And we're going to be
done in 3 minutes.
No, but the thing is,
we're done for lunch. I think
the thing you said, we're going to be done for lunch. And everybody's going, no, we've got like
10 minutes,
12 minutes to lunch or something, and this is going to take another half an hour. 12 minutes went by, and we broke for lunch. It was exactly, and that's how production should be, right? It's on time,
absolutely right,
and it's done, and it didn't have any issues, and it was
predictable. Is the key word. It's predictable because you know how the system operates and what the result's going to be. The only thing will vary from that is if you actually have a genuine problem. So I enjoyed developing that, and I think there's more iterations to come. It's something that you can teach many different concepts. And back to what you're saying about, it's one thing to be able to talk to people. Yes, great. But we know that retention of knowledge or new things happens much better when you have a demonstration or a hands-on experience. You retain like 50, 60% of what you've done. When people are talking, it's good, but discussions like 20% and lectures are like 10%. So, sometimes we have to lecture, right? We're going to give a presentation, we're going to stand in front of a group and give some slides and get some points across. But if we can open that to discussion, we know we get better traction. And if we get simulation or demonstration,
you're doing it.
Now it's like 50, 60%, and you get that feedback every time. That's what they remember. They remember. So engaging all the senses.
You can't learn to play a guitar by watching a YouTube video.
No, that's a good example.
I tried. Trust me, guys. It does not work at all.
Me too. And I have a guitar sitting beside me. But I watch the YouTube video. I don't pick up the guitar. It doesn't work.
No practice, right?
Doesn't work.
Simulation is practicing, so that's what's.
And the other thing, just talking about our event that we ran at totally the wrong time of year, but it was really the right time of year, I think. And that kind of proved it. Like, we ran an event. Usually our event runs in June, which is that time of year where everybody kind of feels okay to take some time off of their business and stuff like that. And maybe that's actually the wrong time. Maybe we should be forcing people to take time out of the pressure, because the people that did attend were people that might have said last year they wouldn't stop, and this year they did. And every one of them said, I'm really glad I came because I got out of the pressure cooker, I got out of the chaos, and then when they go back to it, it's going to be a way better result because they were able to extract themselves for a very brief period. I mean, let's be honest, 2 days is not a long period of time, and it's Thursday, Friday, right? So work's going to be there on Monday when you get back to it, whether you like it or not. It was always going to be. For us to be able to help people in this industry that way was really cool. We didn't expect as good a turnout as we got, I think. I didn't anyway. And so to see people in our industry and some of the guests that showed up, we've never had that many suppliers at an industry event for us either. We had, I think, 5 individual suppliers.
And to see them stay the second day as well shows that
Stayed the whole event.
Yeah, the whole
I didn't pick up on any of them trying to push any kind of sale. I didn't pick up on any of that.
Nope.
So they were there to.
They were there to give value from their business perspective. They were also there to learn,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. Like usually, as a supplier, you show up to an event, you give away some pamphlets, you want to sell something, and then you leave.
Yeah. I know compared to last year, the suppliers this time were asking lots of questions around the carol session. You know, they were like really their ears perked up, interested in, and I think even one said, "Oh, this will help me with my team."
Yeah.
You know, I think it was a guy from
Jack from Planet.
Yeah, so
he was super
they don't
engaged.
even run a business in the model that we're coaching.
And one of them, I won't name names, keep everything confidential at this stage, but one of them has actually become a marketing client of ours.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's how valuable that event
we
was.
never predicted that, right?
We'd never even
That's one
thought
of those nice surprises.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
happy mistakes.
So let's shift gears here a little bit when we're talking about the Joinery Coach and the marketing joint and the things that we've actually helped our members achieve. We created a little bit of a list of what we think the success points are this year. Nigel, the first one we've got is capacity planning and scheduling. Talk a little bit about that.
You know, so the reason I'm quite passionate about this particular process is because it helped me hugely understand flow. You know, these kind of principles. So, and I saw we had some good information around scheduling and rough cut capacity planning, but I just saw there was a bit of a gap in maybe a tool needed or something to help people really walk away with and go, here's something I can actually use and populate and then talk to the coach about. So, so I had an opportunity in the beginning of the year to spend a bit of time developing something, and I did. There was a bit of trial and error, you know, talking through, trying to work out what do they actually need, and knowing also that a fair chunk of our clients don't have like JobMan, or they're not big enough to afford an ERP system yet. So there had to be something, because the ERP system will do that for you, and Aaron does a great job of making sure the capacity modules are working well. But what about the guys that don't have that? And maybe whiteboard's too busy or too challenging. So let's start with something that they will do. They can all pretty much use an Excel sheet, basically, Excel sheet. And, you know, I tried it with a couple of clients and just got really good feedback. You know, I think one client in particular said, I had no idea I wasn't drafting when I was supposed to be drafting. And I was compressing the time in the shop because of that. And as soon as he'd start to see that in a visual tool, you know, I won't say the name, but this year was able to do probably as much as they did last year with 40% less people.
That's right.
Game changer.
I do, yes. Yeah. They did the same amount of work this year, whereas last year they had 5 people, now they've only got 3, and he did the same amount of work.
Yes, yes. I'm not saying it was a capacity tool, but that helped him make good decisions about, you know, the right amount of work in the calendar, not overloading it, and seeing gaps where he could fit in like small jobs, like manatees, things like this. So he was able to fill each month successfully and match his sales to demand, and that's what that process is about.
Leveling the load.
Yeah, and because every time you're over or under, you've got a problem. Overtime or no work. And so we want to help our clients resolve that, because that can cause a lot of anxiety. Talk about the human side of it. It can really drive anxiety into business owners when they're not sure. They think that cliff's coming.
Yes.
If you've got good capacity planning, you'll see it really early, and you can engage the marketing aspects of the business and fill those gaps up.
Yeah.
So
Even if you have a system like that and it doesn't work well, it's better than nothing.
that's right.
Whereas a lot of people are just pushing the work. I think we can do it in March, so let's just start at some point and work towards that date. That push schedule never works, does it?
No, it stops the surprises as well. Right. So will it solve your problems? No, but you'll see them so early that you can do something about it without stressing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about those kind of things. You see the relief come across people's faces.
We just got back from a trip in South Australia where I loved what you said to them, that if you're scheduling chunks, let's just say you're scheduling 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon, and let's say in the morning you'd schedule to do these 4 hours but you're an hour behind. Well, you can adjust pretty quickly when you're scheduling that way, where you've got these little chunks of work scheduled, rather than, okay, there's 280 hours worth of work scheduled, start. Off you go. How do you know if you're ever behind or ahead? You don't know, because
you know on the last day, that's when you know. When you're trying to get out, you're like, I need another day, boss. Need the weekend. That's when you know. And we don't want people to have that, because that's in good manufacturing, good planning, there are no surprises. There's still problems, but there's no surprises. That's the difference, right? And going to push a job out on Thursday and finding out about it Wednesday night, it's not going to be ready. That's a surprise. because it didn't happen Wednesday, it happened pretty Monday
Yeah.
and Tuesday. It led into that. So,
Yeah.
so for me, that was it was good. I got really positive feedback, and some clients really found a huge benefit to having a simple tool that they could just start building into. Just like we say, when you got too much in your mind, just write it down. It's kind of the same thing, but in a picture. Got too much. You're trying to manage all this stuff. I remember seeing a board had all the post-it notes, all the jobs for the next 4 months. How can you mentally manage that? You can't. You think you can, but you actually can't.
Yeah.
So yes, that was my big
So
aha moment for clients around that.
and no surprises that scheduling was one of the top success stories for this year in our marketing in our membership.
Yeah.
Tiffany, we also talked about marketing being a standout step or 10 steps forward for a lot of people. Talk about marketing with our members in the Joinery Coach and the marketing agency.
I think to piggyback off of what Nigel is saying about like having that capacity planner done, is that actually relieves the impact on marketing, because marketing in terms of a mindset doesn't become a quick fix. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to scramble and get more work. It actually becomes, this is our strategy. This is what we're going to do for this quarter, or this is what we're going to do for this month. And we're just going to fine tune it as we go along. And when you have a long-term strategy and then you have those short-term goals in terms of campaigns that you're going to implement, that reflects what you've got in terms of the capacity planner. It just makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So I think that flow-on effect to marketing and the mindset that people are having around marketing and having a long-term goal is so super important. From the marketing agency perspective, wow, we've had so many wins. We've had wins from all businesses of different sizes. So we've got businesses that have started the year with 1 to 2 people in their business, and they're on a smaller package with us, and just getting them to build the content, build the marketing channels. I found that has just completely become a game changer for a lot of small businesses. And then some of our clients, just keeping consistently on that strategy that they have continued to be with us for a couple of years now. And, I had a client call the other day, and he said, I said, look, we've got end of year marketing coming up, 2025, let's implement some new campaigns. And he said, I'm actually booked out till May, June. So actually, let's put the brakes on some of the things. It's just brand awareness at this point. Yeah. So
or now we need to get some new staff. So
yeah.
Switch gears to recruitment.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's it's really cool to see that, because they're a client that consistently create high quality content, consistently have a strategy that they implement, that they roll out with the marketing agency. And we're consistently checking in. And again, I know I keep harping on about it's a healthcare strategy, healthcare plan. It really is, and that's where you get the wins from consistency. And I think that whether it be the marketing agency or the Joinery Coach, that is the common theme along both, businesses and both types of clientele that we've got there.
I think you're right. I think it should come as no surprise that this year, 2024, has been our most successful year as far as wins with clients, or clients getting wins in their business. Because if you look at the reason that we started the marketing joint in the first place, was because we saw a lot of our clients struggling to get work or struggling to attract talent into their business. And from a coaching perspective, that's not something we really did. We could teach them how to do it, but if there wasn't somebody in their business to actually do it and take action on it, they would still struggle with it. So now a lot of our members are using the marketing joints services.
Yes.
And when you really think about it, planning can only happen when you have steady and consistent amount of work coming in. And from the right clients too. So if marketing is doing such a great job attracting an A-grade client and making the client's value and attraction be so high that those A-grade clients that they're talking about, we get a high conversion rate with A-grade clients on a steady basis. Now scheduling gets a whole lot easier, right? Because now we're not afraid to say no. We're not trying to fit in excess work this month because you're afraid you're not going to have work next month, which is that roller coaster ride a lot of people are on, right? Where they're going, okay, we're just going to make hay while the sun shines theory, because it's going to be rainy tomorrow. No, if we can see that we've got this steady amount of work coming in and we're going to level the schedule, because marketing is consistently on a regular basis creating good opportunities for us. Everything else in business gets so much easier. The planning of it, the execution of it, the profit, the team, like it's such a great place to start.
And I love it when it's connected to a growth plan. So we've got a few clients that wanted to grow this year, and they have.
Yes.
And I remember having a conversation. I said, this starts with your marketing metrics, because right now your revenue is being generated by this many leads and this many conversions, right? So if you want to double your revenue, guess what? There's got to be some change in these numbers too, and you've got to monitor that.
Yeah.
You want to make sure as the ramp's going up and you're planning to buy machinery, hire people, don't do that before you see these numbers change.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the precursor, right?
Don't grow something struggling into something bigger
Yeah,
struggling.
because otherwise you'll hire someone, then you go, oh, I don't know, the work didn't come in.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see the leads change. Okay, then don't hire the person yet. Have the triggers related for those changes.
Reassess the structure that you have.
Yes.
You know, if you've got too many people and your overheads are ridiculously high and you don't have the leads coming in to match that, and you don't have the budget to make those leads also come in, that's an issue in itself as well. So you have to, I guess, we call it right size in the Joinery Coach.
Get to the right size. Yeah.
Get to the right size. It's not about upsizing. It's not about downsizing. That's not a bad thing. It's right sizing your business for the time that you need it to.
So the next thing that we looked at as far as big moments throughout the year with clients was the added team members that we brought into the senior team. Yeah. So Aaron brought some amazing new talent and new skills to the team, right? So now he's helping people implement JobMan because he's brought that level of skill in. This also means that because he has a knowledge of an ERP system, somebody could enter our membership with another ERP system, and he'd probably, he'd be able to learn that one as well. So the ability to have a coach within our ranks that can help someone with something that they've invested in, because investing in an ERP system is a big investment. And a lot of people never really implement the ERP system to its fullest. We can bring a coach into the mix that helps you do that, as well as his CAD CAM background really has added a different flavor to the year, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's a huge investment. It's probably one of the biggest investments you make. It's up there with, could be up there with the CNC, right? Over a couple of years, it can be pretty expensive. So yes, if you bought a CNC and it was only running half a day a week, but you needed it to run 4 days a week, you'd do something about it pretty quick. But often people allow an ERP system to degrade, only get 10%.
Or just use two elements of it.
Go back to pulling information out, putting an Excel sheet and sorting it and trying to work out what's going on. And having Aaron has been a game changer for that. Really made a difference, because now they've got someone. It's hard to go to JobMan. Like, they're not really set up to always provide that help. Or really intimate with your business about bits of working, not working. So I know I was helping one of our clients around JobMan, and before Aaron joined, I was recommending, why don't you go to JobMan and get them to assessment? But now we've got Aaron, we don't need to do that. He can actually go in, be given access to your system, and actually give you an evaluation of how well it's working.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've done one yet where we haven't exposed there are bits that you're not using.
Yes.
And hey, if you get the quote going right, guess what? The rest of it will flow really well.
I think the thing we continue to learn is that someone started implementing at step 5.
They missed the.
They never did steps
basics.
1, 2, 3, or 4, and so they kind of struggle at that level. They're using those things at that, but they're missing all the other ones leading up into that, and that happens consistently.
Yeah.
So just having people go back and say, let's do step 1, let's do step 2, let's just go through the basics to begin with. And it's these big, huge, I see how this works now.
Yeah.
I see why that thing at step 5 wasn't functioning, because I didn't do step 3.
Yeah.
And it all starts to tie in. It all starts to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also people don't realise how much time they're spending like doing quoting. If they actually use JobMan, how much time it would save them. So having someone to explain how you'll go from your Excel sheet or your handwritten notes over to putting a quote to JobMan.
Yeah.
Aaron's actually done that himself. He used to do quotes the old way, and he's learned how to, he implemented JobMan at his business. So, having that person that's lived it, breathed it, done it, can take you through a much shorter path than he'd have done.
Yeah.
Because of the learning he's had. I think it's been hugely impactful for clients.
And having Carol part of our team this year, although she was part-time, she just added that extra leadership, communication, conversations, the human what they typically call the soft skills, which are actually the really hard to do skills.
Actually, hard skills, yeah.
They're really, really hard. And she added so much value at our JBI, at our event, where she talked about how we having conversations with people.
Yeah.
Are we acting as an adult? Are we acting as a parent or, a child? So that whole thing about bringing that extra level of expertise into our team, I mean, we won't talk about you guys because we already know you're awesome. Everybody knows that. But the new thing this year really is Aaron and Carol really kind of spread their value this year, which is really cool.
I've really enjoyed seeing Carol at the JBI. That was really where I got to really see her in her element.
Yeah.
And she just handles a crowd brilliantly.
Yeah.
She knew how to not spend too long on things and get people to really reflect, because that's a quite hard one to deliver, right? You're asking people to reflect on their own behaviour in a group that can be where you sometimes maybe feel vulnerable. And she just navigated that really well. And I think I probably got the most number of comments after that.
People questioning their entire life.
Going, wow, never really thought about that. Of course I'm getting people responding like a child because I'm acting like the parent.
Yeah.
And that's causing that reaction.
And when a breakthrough happens, and I know this personally, when I've broken through my own mindset, when you're truly willing to self-reflect and self-analyze, that's when a breakthrough happens. Because you can easily look at someone else and analyze them and be critical of them. Like, that's easy.
You
can do that all day long, and we all do
taking
to some
shots
degree.
at other people is the easiest thing you could ever do.
Because we're not willing to really be honest with ourselves about how we're behaving. Because in a business, how the owner behaves is going to be a mirror of how everybody else behaves, right? So it sets the tone in many cases.
Yeah.
We had a room full of business owners that were self-reflecting for a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
What a massive thing.
And then that makes our job easier as coaches, because when we step away from that kind of discussion, we can talk about, those people that before you go, he's no good, or he's acting like this, or maybe it's the way I spoke to him.
Maybe it's
the way I was telling him what to do and not giving him a chance to think about what he could do. To treat people like adults.
So I think it's fair to say that the addition to our team this year has been a big thing, and we've seen breakthroughs with clients because of it, for sure. I think the other thing that happened this year that we've saw our members do better this year than any other year is the results with their team, like get those breakthroughs, identify roles, responsibilities, the cohesiveness of their team across our membership has been better this year than any. It's never not a problem. It's never something we're never going to need to focus on, but would you say the results this year have been exceptional?
Yes. At the beginning of the year, like I said, there was a few people that had some staff changes for various reasons, but they've all ended the year in a stronger position by not panicking that they've either restructured, like Tiffany said, didn't need to rehire, could actually right size us now, or they found new people to take on those roles. So I think collectively it makes them feel stronger this year if there are staff changes. I know how to navigate through that. Yeah, I know how to restructure the team or rebuild the team.
Role clarity is probably the best thing. I've heard a lot of our clients say, yes, from the day we started marketing, I knew exactly what I needed. I created a role description that was going to attract the right person into my business and then set them up for success in that onboarding stage. And then also having the SOPs that support that person moving forward. Because I think that we tend to do all of this stuff to hire and go, I've got this great role description, but literally no processes in place for anyone to follow. So they flail and then they end up exiting the business. And then we get
called
that
a bad person.
They didn't work out. They were a bad egg. And it's actually have these systems in place. And I think that our clients did that better than ever this year.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty fair wrap up of what we achieved in 2024.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit about what's coming up in 2025? Sure. Some of the new additions and changes?
Yeah.
Sure. What are you looking forward to in 2025, Tiff, that's going to be new and exciting?
We've got a new program that we're about to launch for, I would say, smaller joinery businesses, startup to just smaller joinery businesses, which will be called GPS Lite. So please watch this space. It's going to be more of a light touch program, still coaching, still those wonderful resources that we share with all of our clientele, but just geared towards those smaller to startup.
So 1 and 2 man operations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Been in business for a couple of years.
Yeah, looking to sort of just make those changes, but then looking to grow into a larger business, which is great because we've got GPS standard and premium that can really help those larger businesses thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to sharing that and being a part of that program.
And from the joint marketing agency perspective, I think it's fair to say we're spreading our wings there a little bit as well. We've now taken on Google Ads.
Yes.
We're even talking about, I hate to say it, but we're actually talking about doing better with SEO.
Yes. As I creep down
As I
my chair.
bite my tongue, but yes, SEO is something that people need help with.
Yeah.
We're also offering the ability to potentially have help with a WordPress website.
Yes.
Not that we do it in-house, but we've got people that can help. So, and what we've learned, I think, from this year in the agency is that a bigger business that needs $500,000, $900,000 worth of work every month, we can now help them achieve that.
Yes.
Whereas our core client had been the smaller one in the past. So 2025 is going to be that level of client getting assistance with an agency with a full-fledged offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nigel, from your perspective, what are you looking forward to in 2025?
So, what I'm really keen to work with the team on internally is, we've talked a lot about this. We know that sometimes, when new clients join, taking on, video, sometimes our videos are quite long, sometimes the content sometimes there's a gap on how do I do this? What's the first step? So we've definitely recognised that. We had, I say, most number of new clients this year, and some have often asked the question, I'm stuck, I'm not sure what to do next, and we step in and we help. So the strategy this year would be to go back through, some of the starting elements in 3F and create nice short little 2-3 minute videos, breaking things down. Yeah. This is how you do sort, set and shine, and actually have me and Aaron demonstrating how to do that, not just talking about it, actually going through an area. We've got things at the barn we can utilise. Bruce got some machinery. And
lots of mess here.
It's almost like you're a joinery cabinet maker.
Yeah, so actually sit down and fill in the capacity band with some live jobs, some creative jobs that actually show people things that we probably had to explain too many times this year because they were new concepts, but now being put that into a nice set of short videos or short how-tos, I think it's going to be really powerful to getting people unstuck when they do get stuck, and breaking things down to little chunks for them. So they can do something in half an hour. Go do this next half hour, go do it. Here's the video, copy what you see here, step by step.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think if we look at all the successes we had last year, there's a lot of them, but we also have to look at some of the things that we didn't do very well or that we can do better. And I think that's the one thing that does stand out to me is we will continue to get people say, I haven't got time. And to me, what that means is what they think we're asking them to do is so large that they can't stop for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and do it. They think it's going to need to be done in January when they've got some time off. That's where that mindset comes from, right? I can't do it right now because I haven't got time.
The time, yeah.
So we need to do what you're saying, which is get more clarity on how granular and how small these little steps are. And it really is just a 5 or 10 or 15, sometimes 30-minute thing. Yeah. So I think that's what I'm excited about for 2025 is redefining those things and making sure, because if someone says I haven't got time, it means they think it's too big. They also think it's not going to have a payback.
That's right, yeah.
Right? Because then you're saying, well, I don't need to do that right now. I'll do it another time. I'm doing this right now. And a lot of the things people are doing right now, they're kind of struggling with, or they don't see that the thing we're asking them to do will give them a better result. Yeah. That's the payback.
There's also a human factor, right? So everybody just wants I think the human nature is we just want to feel we're getting better at things.
Yeah.
So if I'm thinking it's too big and I'm pushing it off, I'm not going to get better, obviously, because I'm not practicing, I'm not trying something. But if I give them something small, 15 minutes to go do this 15 minutes, and I get to do it this week and then next week, then I'm going to get better. I'm going to feel like I'm making progress, even if the result's not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm just going to feel I'm better at doing things, new things. And that's always the precursor to results, right? So I think, giving people that this is how you can do something in 15 minutes. This is specifically, and a demonstration of how it's done. I think that's the next bit I'm excited about giving to people.
Yeah, because I think if someone can see that they can do it right now, and it's only going to take them 10 or 15 minutes, and if they did that, they're going to get an extra half an hour today.
Yeah,
there's a payback, or there's going to get more profit, or whatever the big payback is. I think we're going to get much better results.
Even with 5S, I can look at it and it goes, that looks nice now. That looks organised. I feel a number of people I've talked to about their factory, and they're going, it's not looking how I imagine.
How you feel about it when you look at it.
Yeah, right. So that's a big part of it. So Will you get a benefit if you clean your factory up and organise everything on day one? No, but after 3 months you will, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the benefit you'll get on day one is, oh, that looks cool, that's great. That looks like those pictures I see, behind Aaron and Nigel. There's clean, organised factories, lines on the floor, everything's orderly, safe, So that alone, that feeling encourages you to go and do more.
People don't put enough value on that, I think, and I've talked about this a few times. Working in big industries, you and I have been lean practitioners in big industries, and I've often heard the saying, as we're cleaning up, as we're doing 5S, oh, this is looking great. We're painting the floor. It's clean. It's tidy. This is what it was like 30 years ago. And they say that with a smile on their face. Like they actually transport themselves back in time 30 years ago and they relive how they felt 30 years ago.
Yeah.
This is what it looked like 30 years ago. Oh, this is great. But if you go back in time from that conversation 20 minutes, it was like, what a horrible place. People don't actually realize how they're being affected by their environment.
Absolutely, yeah.
And when you can really make them aware of that if you can just have a tidy, organized environment, doesn't mean you're not making mess, but you're cleaning up and you're keeping it tidy and organized. It's like arriving home from work at the end of the day and you walk in and the kids' toys aren't everywhere and the dishes are done and everything's clean and tidy. You feel good.
You can relax.
Yeah, you can relax. That's right.
Can't relax in a place it's stressful to work in.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's the payback that isn't tangible you're talking about. That is just a feeling but eventually it is tangible because people are more productive when they feel good. It's
Lots of studies around that, up to 30% difference.
Yeah.
Because if you're working in chaos, guess what you're talking about most of the time to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
You're trying to share that misery with other people so you can, at least we feel camaraderie in the misery, right? So the feelings are a huge part and we don't talk enough about that. I know Carol will talk about that. How do you feel when you come to work? It's a pretty great question, another podcast thing.
Yeah.
How do you or your team feel like?
How do you feel when you walk into this factory? How does it make you feel?
I've had people, when I've been a manager, who basically have said to me when we've had like hard times or there's uncertainty, we've had to have a bit of a heart moment. We've brought all the team together, go, what's going on? They said, basically, I turn into work, I'm in a good mood when I leave the house, but when I turn into that work car park, my heart goes bang. And a lot of it's to do with, I'm not sure if the work's coming in, I'm not sure about our future. It's chaos, it's mess every day. And they don't get that feeling until they turn and I go, that's horrible, we've created that environment. That's why I've created that environment. Yeah. But guess what, I can change it too.
And that comes down to having people do little things, little steps, so that they can start feeling like they're changing that environment. Yeah. I think it's a pretty good wrap up. I think it's pretty, I know we're going to think about this in another day or two and go, oh, we forgot about this thing. But that's always the case. So thanks guys for doing this.
No worries, it's a pleasure.
And I'm looking forward to 2020.
It's been a really great year.
And how great that we can actually physically get together and do this. Because we haven't done that before, right? Not last year, I don't think.
No, I think this is my first time physically sitting in the room on the podcast. I'm usually on Zoom. So yeah, it's great to be here.
It's great. We can share coffee.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap up for 2024. I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Riley for, I think it's true that this has probably been our best produced year as well. I look at the quality of the podcast going out. Again, shout out to Riley. That's a testament to his skills and ability to create amazing looking content and media. And I wish everybody watching this podcast right now an amazing 2024.
2025.
2025.